Our Sunday study of the book of Judges contains today chapter 13. And Manoah said unto his wife, We shall surely die because we have seen the Lord. But his wife said unto him, If the Lord were pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering at our hands, neither would he have shown us all these things, nor would at this time have told us such things as these. We turn down the corridors of time today to one of the darker periods in Israel's history. Our text takes us back to the secluded mountain village of Sorah, to the home of the man Manoah and his wife. And we overhear a conversation that is taking place between the two of them. The man has just heard the facts and reads bad news into them. His wife, on the other hand, sees the same thing, and she comes to the opposite conclusion. What passed between that husband and wife is repeated in countless marriages to the present day. And how these two settled the matter is the subject of today's text. And it is full of hope for the faint-hearted of every age. You may remember the background here. A messenger of God had appeared to the wife of Manoah and said, Behold, thou art barren, and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son. Not only was her son to be God-given, he was also to be God-dedicated. Upon the woman herself, and more so upon her son, was laid the Nazirite vow. That boy was to be set apart for God all the days of his life. His destiny was to begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. And the tokens of the Nazirite vow were two. He was to touch nothing from the vine, neither fine wine nor raisin cakes. And his hair was never to be shorn, but to grow long in 7 locks. Well, the woman told her husband about the unexpected visitor and the unplanned pregnancy. Behold, a man of God came unto me, and he looked like an angel of God, very awesome, she said, and repeated word for word what had been told to her. But the husband, Manoah, was not at all convinced by the tale that his wife told him, and pleaded that he might hear the thing for himself. So the messenger returned, and to him Manoah said the prayer of every parent, How shall we order the child, and what shall we do unto him? Once more he was told the boy was to be given of God, and the boy was to live for God. Then, as Abraham had done, when heavenly messengers appeared at his tent door, as Gideon earlier did, when a messenger from God appeared to him as he was threshing wheat in hiding in a wine press, Manoah too wanted to show the visitor his hospitality. Abide with us, and we shall make something for thee to eat. But the mysterious messenger declined the offer. Though you will detain me, I will not taste of your food. But if you bring a burnt offering, he said, offer it to the Lord. Manoah's mind raced to pick up on what he was hearing. Offer it to the Lord. What is your name? That I may pay thee honor when your words come true, Manoah asked. The man knew that you can't be grateful in the abstract. You can't be vaguely thankful. Manoah believed that he owed a debt of thanks to whoever could assure him the gift of a son. And came then this strange answer: why do you ask my name? It is wonderful. One amazement followed another. At the messenger's suggestion, Manoah brought a sacrifice of the herd, laid it upon a rock, and prepared a burnt offering. Then he and his wife watched with wide-eyed amazement as the angel of the Lord did a wonderful thing. As the fire consumed the sacrifice on the rock, and as the flames leaped up heavenward, the angel of the Lord ascended up in the flames and was gone. Manoah and his wife fell to the earth worshiping. It suddenly dawned on them, like stepping out of a dark room into the bright sunshine, in whose presence they had just been face to face. To us it seems that Manoah and his wife were dull and slow to pick up on what was happening and with whom they were dealing. After all, who else could guarantee you the life of a child and then promise the son would begin the Lord's own work of delivery? And who else's name could ever be called wonderful? For that is what he is. And that is what he does. And you and I have no other name to describe that which is beyond our comprehension and awe-inspiring and wonderful. But are we any quicker to pick up on what is happening? How often hasn't God broken into these humdrum lives of ours with His promises and with His presence? How many times haven't you met angels unawares? In the form of a mother, perhaps, a teacher, a wife, someone who stepped between you and danger. How often haven't we looked at these extraordinary gifts that God has placed in our hands, like life and health, the senses of sight and sound, our friends and companions in this life's journey? And we look at these priceless gifts with our dull eyes and see nothing at all special about them till they are gone. Then we realize what fools we were to take for granted things that are truly wonderful beyond compare. And like Manoah and his wife, isn't it true that it is, as we look back, it begins to steal over our hearts that there's been a plan, a design in all of our days, a purpose in all of the seasons of sorrow and defeat. Some higher power has been at work here behind the scenes and all the while. And we can almost feel the gentle pressure of God's hands leading us, drawing us, guiding us, helping us, and holding us. What happens next is what is so true to life. A husband and his wife see the same thing, hear the same thing, and they reach opposite conclusions about it. We overhear Manoah saying, "We shall surely die, for we have seen God." Why was the man so frightened? You can understand that. The same fear clutches the heart of any temporal creature. He suddenly finds himself in the presence of eternity and the unknown world. We're so used to reading the Gospels in a warm, religious mood that we forget the reaction that people actually had in the presence of Christ. He preached that Sermon on the Mountain. You don't read that anybody believed or was even impressed. What they were was shocked and astonished. During the fourth watch of the night, in that wild sea, the disciples did not recognize that lonely figure coming toward them through the dark. Out there in the howling wind and the whitecaps breaking over their ship. And they did not shake his hand or pound him on the back or congratulate him saying, "Thanks, good buddy, you saved the day." They shrank back from him as though they didn't know him. What manner of man is this, whom even the winds and the seas obey? They went out to that tomb on Easter morning, and they came back frightened out of their wits and scared, speechless. Remember the catch of fishes in Simon Peter's boat? What was the reaction of the big fisherman? "Oh Lord, now I believe in you." He fell to the deck on his knees and said, "Depart from me, O Lord. Get out of my life, for I am a sinful man." You see, the contrast is too great. The difference between what God is and what you and I are, and we can't stand it. And if you have ever come upon a bad accident scene on the highway, or visited somebody in the hospital dying of a terminal illness, or if you've ever had a close brush with death that leaves your hands trembling, then like Manoah, you begin to feel your own frailty and helplessness and unworthiness. And so, Manoah says, "We shall die, for we have seen God." How many husbands the world over haven't said or thought the same thing? Here's a man like many other men who feels his responsibilities upon him. He is the breadwinner, must go about the business of being head of the house. And he's got 1,001 different things to worry about. And he comes home from work at night tired and too little to show for all of the hours that he's put in. And now somebody tells him he's got another mouth to feed, another burden to bear, another bundle of cares around his neck. We'll never do it. It's impossible. It's out of the question. It'll kill me. Well, if you only heard Manoah speaking, you would surely have thought some disaster has fall on this home in Zorah. But a marriage is always more than one. There are always two minds, two opinions, and two viewpoints. And you haven't got the whole picture here till you hear his wife's side of the story. She has seen everything and heard it that her husband has. And she says, if the Lord were pleased to kill us, why then did he receive a burnt offering at our hands? And why has he showed us all these things? And why has he told us such things as these? Manoah's wife argues from practical, common sense. She puts the two and the two together and says, can this mean harm? If the Lord meant to kill us, would he receive an offering and then reject the people that offer it? Would he tell us about our future if we were going to have no future? My dear, he would promise us a son and then slay us before the child is ever born. First, she lets her husband get the complaining off his chest because there's a beautiful cunning to love. And then the man is blessed who has a wife that can think like that and talk like that. She's right. Much today is made about our lack of communication in our marriages and in our families. And there's truth to it. Many a working man sees his babies only when they're asleep in their beds at night. Because of different working schedules, husbands and wives nowadays pass like ships in the night, with scarcely time to talk, or too tired to talk if they have the time. And then you've got the experts in every family who think that all of wisdom is bound up in their own brain, see? And they don't have to listen to anybody. Communication is important, but it is not all important. Harmony does not inevitably result if you tell me where you're coming from, see, and then I'll tell you where I'm at. We've all had conversations that have made matters worse and not better. More important than family members talking to each other, more important than husbands and wives talking to God, God must talk to us. And that's why the wife of Manoah was worth more than her weight in gold. Because she took the plain promises of God and applied them to their lives. She foresaw a bright future based on all the past goodnesses of God to her. And isn't that Christ's own way of arguing? Look back and then tell me you don't trust me for tomorrow. He says to all worrywarts about living in this world, which is all of us, is not the life more than food, and the body than raiment? If your Creator gave you your life, do you think He would withhold the food you need to keep it? He gave you that marvelous body of yours, and now will not give you the slacks and the sweater you need to keep it warm? In my Father's house are many mansions, said Christ. I go to prepare a place for you. Well, now, if I go and prepare a place for you, you think I won't come again and receive you unto myself, that you can have the place I prepared for you? If God has given us the Lamb that's taken away the sin of the world, how then? Common sense, how then can we be prisoners still of our past sins if His Lamb has borne them away? If He bids us approach this table today in remembrance of Him, then how can He, how will He ever forget us? How can God mean us harm when He's given us so many tokens of full, vibrant, abundant, and eternal life? Amen.